2025's trade wars? Are we prepared for the fallout? The global economy is once again walking on a tightrope. After years of fragile recovery from the pandemic and inflationary shocks, the world now faces another storm. A new wave of trade wars that could redefine the balance of global power. From Washington to Beijing, and Brussels to New Delhi, governments are tightening trade policies, imposing tariffs, and redrawing supply chains in the name of national security and economic independence. But as history has shown, no trade war comes without consequences, and 2025 may prove to be a turning point for global commerce. A new era of economic nationalism. The idea of globalization, where goods, capital, and technology flowed freely across borders, is being replaced by a surge of economic nationalism. The United States has reintroduced tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, steel, and solar panels, citing unfair trade practices and national security risks. China, in response, has restricted exports of key minerals and components essential for semiconductors and batteries. Meanwhile, the European Union has launched its own investigations into Chinese subsidies, while promoting Made in Europe policies. This web of protectionist measures is reshaping the very foundation of global trade, fragmenting markets and forcing companies to rethink where and how they produce. The BRICS factor, a counterweight to the West. As the US and its allies fortify their trade walls, the BRICS bloc, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, now joined by new members like Saudi Arabia and Iran, is pushing for a parallel economic order. They are exploring trade settlements in local currencies and reducing dependence on the US dollar. For many developing nations, this shift represents an opportunity to escape the dominance of Western financial systems. However, such a transformation isn't without friction. Competing trade blocs could lead to a polarized world economy where collaboration gives way to confrontation. Who gets hurt in a trade war? At first glance, tariffs and trade restrictions seem to protect local industries. But in reality, everyone loses. Consumers face higher prices for imported goods. Manufacturers suffer from supply chain disruptions. Exporters lose access to key markets. And developing nations get caught in the middle, struggling to choose sides between the East and the West. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, warns that prolonged trade fragmentation could shave off up to 7% of global GDP over the next decade, a hit comparable to the financial crisis of 2008. Technology and energy, the new battlefields. Unlike past trade wars driven by tariffs on cars and steel, the 2025 version is about technology and energy supremacy. The US and allies are restricting chip exports to China. China is investing heavily in green energy technologies. Europe is racing to secure access to rare earth elements and battery components. This new phase of economic rivalry is about who will control the future, the technologies that power tomorrow's industries. Emerging markets. The silent victims, countries like Pakistan, Indonesia, and Egypt are feeling the ripple effects. When trade routes shift and global growth slows, commodity prices fluctuate, currencies weaken, and inflation rises. For developing nations dependent on imports or foreign investment, these shocks can be devastating. To survive, these economies must diversify exports, build local manufacturing capacity, and strengthen regional alliances to reduce exposure to global volatility. Preparing for the fallout. The trade war of 2025 isn't just an economic story. It's a test of resilience. Governments, businesses, and consumers must adapt to a more fragmented and competitive world. Nations need clear trade strategies instead of short-term protectionism. Companies must invest in supply chain resilience and technological innovation, and individuals, through education and adaptability, must prepare for a world where economic shifts happen faster than ever before. Conclusion. The age of open globalization may be fading, replaced by strategic economic competition. But whether the world ends up divided or more self-reliant depends on how nations handle the current crisis. History reminds us that trade wars rarely have winners, only survivors who adapt and rebuild smarter. The question is, are we ready for the fallout of 2025's global trade war, or are we repeating the mistakes of the past?